Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk on a Thursday afternoon in the capital city. It's a beautiful day, if a little windy. We're so glad you're joining us for 2 hours of sports talk today on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And a special welcome to those of you who are watching the show on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. Everybody gets a special welcome today. I'm feeling magnanimous. It's not just a special welcome if you're watching us. Sometimes I feel like if you're going to actually look at our faces, you deserve a little something extra as a thank you. But however you're consuming the show today, an extra special welcome on this Thursday, April 17th. To 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, just the two of us for just 2 hours today. We will be off at 5 o'clock, handing things off to the Royals Baseball Network as the Royals road trip reaches the Motor City. First of 4 games tonight against the Detroit Tigers. Pre-game coverage again at 5 o'clock, right at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. First pitch tonight scheduled for 5:40. Michael Lorenzen and Reese Olson, the starting pitching matchup tonight. And the Royals trying to get off the schneid. This has been a rough road trip. They were swept by the Yankees, falling 4-3 last night. They are trying to get back rolling and get the bats going tonight. And we will have Royals baseball coming up at 5 o'clock. So we've only got 2 hours to do what we usually do here. And in the next 2 hours, we're going to talk plenty of Royals baseball. What can be done to get the offense going? Is there anything that can be done to get the offense going? Because it ain't going. They've only scored more than 4 runs in a game once this season. They scored 3 last night. Wasn't enough. It was almost 4. MJ Melendez almost had a game-tying extra base hit there in the 9th. Cody Bellinger made a really nice play in right field to rob Melendez of extra bases and end the ball game. But it's hard to win baseball games when you can't score 4 or more runs. That the Royals have been in these games, that they've gotten the tying runs or the go-ahead runs to the plate each of the last couple of nights, tells you that the pitching staff is not to blame here. Not really, not to a large extent. You got to score runs, and the Royals just aren't doing it. We'll talk about it here on the show today. We'll also talk a little NFL draft. Brett Veach spoke today, did his pre-draft press conference. We'll pick out the choice nuggets from what the Chiefs general manager had to say and also give you our sure things in the NFL draft. The players that we are most certain are going to be stars out of a draft that the consensus seems to be, and I think you agree, Brendan, and I know I agree with the consensus here, there aren't a lot of guys that project as sure thing, locked in, decade-long starters, perennial all-pros, that kind of player. Not a lot of guys where that feels like a realistic outcome. Certainly there are some guys with high ceilings, but it's just not a long list of guys. But who are our sure things in the NFL draft? We'll get there in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll also do some brief headlines in the 4 o'clock hour today. KU scored another guard in the transfer portal, Melvin Council Jr. out of St. Bonaventure, committing naturally after we went off the air yesterday. So we will talk about that. We'll also talk about Lee Corso hanging him up. One more college game day for the coach, the Sunshine Scooter, and that will be all for Lee Corso's television career. We'll have some thoughts on that. And a playoff roundup coming your way as well. Plus, we'll do What Is Wrong With You, either or over under, and the local sports spotlight with our guy Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. Pistol's going to join us at the bottom of this hour. We'll get caught up on what's been happening on the local sports scene, Washburn Athletics and Shawnee County High School sports. Rick Peterson will join us for the local sports spotlight at the bottom of this hour. We want to hear from you throughout the program today. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. 785-272-9429. You can also jump in on the live chat if you are watching our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, or on Facebook, WIBW News. You can comment on the Facebook stream, and there is a chat feature on the mobile app, the web browser, on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and you can interact with us and your fellow listeners. A hello to Mark H. McFly's in, Christopher, Trevor in, Ryan and Vance are in as well, and it is Mark H's birthday today. So happy birthday to Mark H., one of our regulars in the chat. So thanks for joining us. Thank you for being along for this 2-hour edition of 580 Sports Talk. Before we get into the Sports Talk in earnest, we owe you a keyword for the Choose Your Trip 2025 sweepstakes. You've only got today and tomorrow to get some keywords and to get registered to have your chance to win a trip to anywhere you want to go in the United States. The keyword to enter this hour at our website, 580wibw.com, is land. Land, L-A-N-D, as in that ball off Melendez's bat didn't land in the 9th inning last night, and the Royals lost.
There is plenty of open land around your vacation destination of Dubuque, Iowa.
That's a fact. Shout out to Dubuque, home of the Fighting Saints of the United States Hockey League. Land is the keyword, L-A-N-D, land. Drop that keyword in, 580wibw.com. Click on that contest link at the top of the page. Listen to win a trip anywhere in the U.S. The landing page prompts you for a keyword. That is the keyword for this hour, land. Royals lose again last night, 4-3, the final score. They lost 4-1 on Monday, 4-2 on Tuesday, 4-3 last night. So at that rate, if the Royals and Yankees had played tonight, they would have played forever because nobody would have scored more than 4 runs. We were on track for a baseball game that would have lasted a lifetime. And the frustrating thing about this from the perspective of watching the games, like it's one thing to watch guys get overpowered. Like you just have no chance. And sometimes that's the pitcher doesn't give you a chance. The pitcher comes out and lets them hang and strikes out a dozen in 12 innings. Like you've seen Cole Reagans do that. And there are pitchers across the league that do that. But that's not really what's happened to the Royals really at any point this season. Freddie Peralta ran up a pretty big strikeout number when they were in Milwaukee. But this isn't a lineup that's striking out a dozen times a night and just getting overpowered and they can't make any contact. They're putting the ball in play. The problem is they're not building innings. They're not putting crooked numbers on the board. They're not making consistent, solid contact. And what it comes back to in the end is there just aren't enough good hitters in this lineup. And this was a foreseeable issue for the Royals. It was one that they tried to address this offseason. They made the trade for Jonathan India. They tried to swim in some of the bigger free agent waters. They made an offer to Anthony Santander. It was well publicized. Made a run at some other guys. Never thought about making a trade. Never came around. And so they broke camp with these guys. And with these guys, what you were hoping to see was some internal improvement, maybe a breakout for a young player, because objectively, by baseball age, guys like Melendez and Maikel Garcia and Drew Waters, like those guys are still young players. Michael Massey is still a young player. And those improvements just haven't come. I am not, as I said earlier this week, I am not fire the hitting coach guy, though it is officially not too early to fire your hitting coach because a certain team that plays in the time zone to the west just fired their hitting coach after a loss last night, dropped them to 3-15 overall. So 18 games in, somebody else fired a hitting coach today. So not out of the question. You know, maybe this is early enough. If you feel like you need to pull the ripcord on the coaching staff, if you're JJ Piccolo, if you're Matt Quatrero, and you feel like you need to change the voices, change the mojo, whatever it is that you think firing the hitting coach would accomplish. But I kind of agree with Matthew Lamar over at Royals Review, who wrote a piece today titled, "Everyone saw the offensive slump coming, but fixing it is another thing entirely." I don't think this gets fixed overnight. I think you kind of have to ride this out. As unappealing as this feels, as Dayton Moore-ish as this feels, you kind of have to give it a little more time, because I do think you are seeing the lineup underperform. I do not think what you are seeing here these first now 19 games is an accurate reflection of this lineup, but I also don't think the ceiling's a whole lot higher than this. because you were hoping for a big step forward or a breakout. Like Maikel Garcia has been fine. He's been basically the best version of Maikel Garcia that we've seen for any extended time at the major league level. But like, I don't think Michael Massey is this bad. I don't think Vinny Pasquantino is this bad. I don't think Jonathan India is going to hit at this level all season long, where he does not have an OPS over 600. Like, I don't think that's Jonathan India's true talent. I don't think that Kevin Biggio is going to play a lot or should play a lot, frankly. That's a cipher in the lineup. I don't think Michael Massey's true talent level is an OPS of 413. Like, I don't. I think there is some underperformance going on. I think there is an element of guys are pressing, guys are squeezing the sticks, guys are trying too hard to pull the ball in the air. I do think that's part of it, but it was entirely foreseeable that when this lineup underachieved, that this is what it would look like. That the downside of this lineup, the downside risk was this: the utter inability to put any runs on the board. They scored 58 runs in 19 games. And I am no math major, Brendan, but that is just over 3 runs per game. And your pitching staff is good, but there is no pitching staff in baseball that can overcome getting stuck on 3 every single night.
And there is something to be said as well for not, if your pitching staff is going out every game and has no expectation that they are going to get any run support, there is a mental, emotional element to the game that wears on you. It's, if you want a comparison across sports, it's like if you've got, okay, I'm so sorry for doing this. I'm so sorry. This is New York Jets syndrome over the last few seasons, where the defense is awesome. Like, oh my God, Quinnen Williams is a star. Sauce Gardner is a star. They're well coached. They've got dudes. They've got a great scheme. That's the Royals. I think the Royals pitching staff is really good. I think the talent is really good. You've got a legitimate superstar Cy Young caliber ace. You've got a good 2 through 5 as well. I think even your bullpen, although it's got some holes that are obvious right now, I think the good in the bullpen is really good. A guy like Lucas Erceg, Harvey before he got hurt, etc. But after a while, when that group knows they are not going to get any help, just like the New York Jets for years, even with that great defense, have known, the offense is going to go out there, suck eggs for about 90 seconds of game time, and then we have to go back on the field, and we're going to lose the game 10-6. Somehow we didn't kick a field goal or score a touchdown and got 6 points. Like, what are we? We're going to feel like crap. And that's the position that you risk putting your pitching staff in. It is hard on a mental level for anybody, even if it's Cole Reagans, if it's Michael Lorenzen, if it's Chris Bubich, if it's anyone, to go out there and think, cool, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to throw 6 innings of 2-run ball, and I'm going to get a big fat L because Bobby's going to hit a home run, and that's going to be it. That's really hard on a pitching staff.
It does. You're absolutely right, Brendan. It takes a toll because you feel like you're walking a tightrope, and that tightrope is over the Grand Canyon. Like, you cannot misstep. If you're a pitcher on the Royals right now, you can't afford to give up more than 3 runs in a game because you're not going to win that game. And even 3 runs, all that would have gotten them was 2 extra innings one time. 3 runs, objectively, that's a good performance for your pitching staff over the course of 9 innings. If you did that every game, you'd have the best pitching staff in baseball. Mm-hmm. But the offense is the problem right now. And again, like, guys who are not performing to their true talent level, Vinny Pasquantino, Jonathan India, Salvador Perez. Like, that's 3 of your big 4 right there. It looks different if those guys are firing. If Vinny Pasquantino's hitting better than 200, if Jonathan India's OPS is better than 310, if Salvador Perez is slugging higher than 333, things look a little better because then you can look and say, hey, Maikel Garcia's breakout is kind of fun where he's been above average. Even a guy like Kyle Isbell is giving you above average offense right now, which, I don't expect that to last, but right now, he's your 3rd best hitter with a 721 OPS.
So I'm glad you brought up Kyle Isbell for 2 reasons. One, Cody in the YouTube comments, Cody, thanks for hanging out with us today, says that he believes until Isbell, Massey, and MJ are removed from the lineup, these struggles will continue. I personally would not put Isbell in that group because, A, you cannot have 9 above average batters in your lineup. No team does. Even teams that are good do not have 9 guys who you look at and go, that dude is going to contribute and have a great at-bat every time. There's aren't enough players in Major League Baseball for that to be the case.
Yeah.
And Kyle Isbell is bringing something else to the table because he does have a plus glove in center field. Kyle Isbell is what he is. That's fine. But I also wanted to bring him up to follow up on a point we made earlier this week when we were talking about the pulling the ball in the air and trying to pull it. And is that the guys trying that? Is that an edict from the coaching staff? I believe it was Monday when Kyle Isbell was having a conversation during the pregame show on radio. I think it was with Jake Eisenberg. And they were talking about the torpedo bats because Isbell has used it in some cases, but not all. And Jake was asking him, why do you use it? When are you using it? And I actually really enjoyed the conversation. I heard the whole thing on my drive home, and he was talking about how I don't view it as like my bat. I use it as a tool. It doesn't feel like a normal bat does. It obviously has the same function, but everybody's got different tools they use. Some guys change bats during the season. We'll use different bats, different circumstances. That's how he feels about the torpedo bat. And he actually went really into detail about certain circumstances when he's going to use it and, what sort of things he studies about upcoming pitching matchups or potential relievers he'll face. Should I use my regular bat? Will I change my swing? I actually thought it was a fascinating conversation and a really cool look, even for a guy who's thought of as a below average hitter, talking about what goes into the approach as a batter. If you can go find this, I would recommend you check it out. I think it was Monday's pregame. It was really good stuff. And the reason I think that's important, and my take here is that I think the problems are more an edict from the coaching staff to try to pull the ball in the air. I think it is the coaches, the bosses, the big bosses who are trying to say, hey, that's the most likely way to hit for power, to hit home runs, is to lift the ball and pull it, even if that's not your natural swing. So let's do more of that. Because, again, even if you're a 9-hole hitter who, frankly, is not counted on for offense, Kyle Isbell is in the batting order because he has to be. Otherwise, he's out there to be a fielder. He'd be your designated fielder if any of your pitchers could hit. I know that's a softball rule, not a baseball rule.
Lorenzen kind of can. They should try DHing for somebody tonight.
I would love to see it happen.
Lorenzen bat.
You understand I'm stretching, but work with me here. He's putting all this work and all this detail into it, and nobody expects him to be a good offensive player. Absolutely nobody. If he was hitting 180, he would still be in the lineup in all likelihood because of the glove. And there are so many things that he is working on, and I know he's not alone in that, which makes me believe it's coming down from on high, whether that's Quattrero, Alex Zumwalt, someone up in the front office, whatever, to try something new, the analytics department, whatever it is. I just have a hard time believing these guys who are fine-tuning things down to I know how much this guy's slider breaks across the plate, and that's going to inform what kind of bat I go to the plate with. That, to me, sounds like these guys would not be trying something unnatural if it was up to them. That's my own personal opinion on the matter.
No, I think that's an interesting way to look at it. I do think that there is something to that. The idea that the skew is so extreme. The increase in pulled balls in the air year over year from last year to this year is so extreme so far that it feels intentional. Like it would be very surprising if a part of it were not at least intentional. But guys are just not getting results. You want to pick on somebody who doesn't need to be in the lineup anymore. I mean, my God, Hunter Renfroe's batting 119. Why bother anymore? Like, he's 33 years old. I know they owe him some money this year, but that's the guy that you look at and think, yeah, that guy just might be cooked. Like, Michael Massey's 27. He was above average hitter last year. You give him a little bit more time. He's got a little bit more rope than somebody like Hunter Renfroe ought to. But yeah, the results are not there. And the end result is your pitching staff can have an okay night. Like, Chris Bubich wasn't his sharpest. That was probably the worst his command has been in his 4 starts this year, but he battled and gave the Royals a chance. And then John Schreiber gave up the home run to Judge in the 7th. Look, I understand, right on right. She had Daniel Lynch up in the bullpen. Lynch wouldn't have gotten a worse result. He wouldn't have thrown a worse pitch. Schreiber's given up 3 home runs in 7 innings. The cries for more Lynch in high leverage are only going to grow louder, and go ahead and add my voice to the chorus on that. But at the end of the day, it's the offense that continues to struggle. They are batting just .206 as a team with a .582 OPS. That means the collective is 32% below league average, according to OPS Plus. And now they go to Detroit, and Detroit's got some pretty good arms. If you haven't noticed, they've got to deal with Skubal on Sunday. They got to deal with the young stud Jackson Jobe tomorrow. They got to deal with Casey Mize, the former number 1 overall pick, who's off to a good start this year on Saturday. And they have to deal with Reese Olson tonight, right-hander, and he's got the highest ERA of the group so far at an even 6, and you'd like to think that maybe the Royals could jump on him tonight, but they have to get rolling. And not all of it is guys to can't do being asked to do it, or if they're not. The dudes have to be dudes. That's why the Royals won last year, because their dudes were dudes. So far this year, they've been duds. Either or, over under time here on 580 Sports Talk. And we'll start with this weekend's series in Detroit for the Royals, 4-game series. I'll set the over-under right at about their season average. I'll go 12.5 runs for the Royals over the next 4 games.
12.5 runs for the Royals over the next 4 games. Let me look this up real quick. How's Tigers pitching?
Pretty darn good. And they get Scooble Sunday, and he's the best in the American League. Him or Reagan's. I think are running 1-2 pretty strong in the American League, in my opinion. They duck Flaherty, who's been their second best guy. Job and Mize are the other starters Friday and Saturday. Job's got an ERA of an even 3. Mize at 2.60.
Yeah, the Tigers.
And it's a good bullpen, too, on the plus side.
Yeah, Tigers as a team, not just starters, but as a team, are 8th in the majors and 5th in the American League in team ERA. The Royals are actually 1st in the American League. Did you know that? In team ERA?
I did not know that, but I would have guessed it.
3.33 team ERA. Very impressive. We know Royals pitching is good. 12.5 over 4 games. I am going to say under because I don't think there's a fix to the current problems for the Royals. Like, I don't think we have found or they have found a solution to what their problems are. And there are some problems that don't have solutions. Like, you're not suddenly going to make Hunter Renfroe not old, slow, and slow to swing the bat.
See, I think there is a fix. It's called Perez and India and Pasquantino hit like the backs of their baseball cards suggest. But that's on them. Like, that's not anything like Alex Zumwalt's going to wave some pixie dust and those guys are going to do it. It's either going to happen or it's going to happen eventually. Like, you trust those guys to come around to a certain extent, but that's what's going to fix it. What you can't fix, what the bigger problem is that this is what it looks like when not all of the best hitters are firing. So Comerica's not the easiest place in the world to hit, and they're going up against a tough pitching staff, but like Pasquantino has 8 hits and a couple of home runs this weekend, and it changes the equation. And I'll be the optimist and I'll say over, but I don't think it'll be by a lot because I think, if they're still struggling into Sunday, look out. That might be no hitter watch for Scooble.
So Baseball Savant has a stat, or there's a stat that we have because of StatCast, and this stuff really is incredible. Squared up rate or squared up percentage. And essentially, I don't need to give you the definition. If you've ever played baseball, if you've ever been coached.
You know what it is to square one up.
Yeah, you know what that means. Salvador Perez last season ranked dead on 50th percentile. He was right in the middle of Major League Baseball. 25% of the time he was squaring up pitches, which isn't elite by any means, but it's fine. It's right in the middle of all of Major League Baseball. This season, small sample size, 28th percentile. Yeah, not good. I mean, he's just not making clean contact nearly often enough. That's essentially what it's a measure of, right? How often are you making clean contact, bat on ball?
Yeah.
I mean, less than 30% of the time. That's no good for anybody.
No.
Yeah, that's dreary. All right, I've got an NFL draft themed either or over under for you.
All right.
It's an either or. Would you rather have in this draft 2 first-round picks or Travis Hunter?
I would rather have Travis Hunter.
I agree with you.
I would rather have Travis Hunter because depends. Are those two first round picks both in the top 10, top 15?
Let's say that's fair. That's an important one. Let's say 2 top 15 picks.
You could maybe talk me into 2 top 15s.
2 top 20s?
No,
I wouldn't either. I mentioned this once before on the show a few weeks ago. It is so funny to hear NFL and NFL draft people, because I listen to a bunch of different football podcasts during the week, and they're all in draft mode right now. And to hear those people talk about Travis Hunter compared to the narratives about him during the college football season, like NFL people are like that. People who say, I hate using the phrase generational prospect. And I'm telling you right now, this is a once in a generation type prospect. Most people who cover the draft have him as wide receiver 1 and then a drop off to the next tier, and also cornerback 1 with a drop off to the next year. The next best cornerback in the draft is refusing to run the 40-yard dash. If you refuse to run the most basic drill, you're pretty much telegraphing that you're not very fast. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think Will Johnson's just hurt, but that's another story. Like, he is by far the number 1 player at 2 different positions. And even if it's a limited package on one side of the ball, he's going to play both ways, at least to start his NFL career. And during the college season, we had to listen to people who are paid to cover the sport be like, oh, yeah, he's a snap merchant. What? What does that mean?
I don't know what that means. I've never
What
heard.
does it mean to play? Whoa, so what? He plays 100 snaps and he's mid at both? Are you stupid?
They didn't watch him.
No, never. You just don't like Deion Sanders. And you know what? I get it, because I don't really like Deion Sanders
like either.
And I think the thing with like retiring Shadour's number, so stupid.
Oh, it's nonsense. Don't even get me started.
Like, Travis Hunter is unbelievable. And I would take him over 2 top 20s. And frankly, I might take him over 2 top 15s.
We'll take a timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, it's the local sports spotlight with Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. We are joined on the Playing Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Rick Peterson from TopSports.news, covering all things Shawnee County High School sports and Washburn University athletics. You can find Pistol on X at Peterson_Rick. And TopSports.news remains a daily must-read as the spring prep and college seasons are well underway. And Pistol, let's start on the prep side. And But we haven't had the occasion to talk much about this yet, so let's start on the track. Who are some of the local athletes who are out to really impressive starts for you this track season? Certainly we know about Siemens' Ryan Miller. She was the Gatorade Track Athlete of the Year last season, but there's some other standouts as well. And it looks like a really good year on the track here locally.
Yeah, it really is. And Ryan Miller is as good as there is. She's on the short list of as good as there is in the nation. So you start with there, of course, as you did. And I'm really excited to see how her and others do in the KU relays tomorrow and Saturday. Hopefully the rain kind of stays away on Saturday particularly. But Brody Anderson, also of Seaman, very, very good distance runner. Topeka West has a pair of great boys distance runners in Adrian Lehman and Mark Wilkie. And then Washburn Rural on the girls' side in distances has Peyton Fink, Riley Ismert. Seems like a really good year for distance runners in the city. And then Kamara Marshall of Topeka High is the city leader, Shawnee County leader in the 100 and the 200. We get just good athletes all around, and I always know a lot more about how their state possibilities are and everything after the KU relay. So I think we'll know a lot more come Saturday.
We most certainly will. Let's pivot from the track to the pitch. There are obviously the usual suspects pretty good in women's soccer, including Washburn Rural. You had a chance to see them the other night. What stood out?
Oh, hey, this might be a little silly to say given their pedigree, but this may be the best Washburn Rural girls team they've had overall. They've got some all-state type people at the top. They're very deep, and of course we know how good they're coached with Brian Hensel and his long-standing staff. Hensel's won 2 state titles on the boys' side and been contenders every year, and I think this is a team that has a chance to win his first girls' title.
We're talking local sports with Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. Joins us on Thursdays for the local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. You took in some boys tennis earlier this week, and a neat story unfolding on the Topeka High team with Trace Lassiter off to a really good start. You had a chance to tell that story a little bit over at TopSports.news.
Yeah, and I like this rule. I think we're in the second or third year now that the rule went into effect that, you can be a homeschool student and still be a part of your high school team in your attendance district. And I like for kids to take advantage of that. And because in my mind, being a part of a high school team, just the camaraderie and everything else and the brotherhood or sisterhood is just very, very important and very gratifying. So I'm glad that Mr. Lassiter and some others like that are taking advantage of that.
Does Topeka High have what it takes to maybe be a threat for the City and Centennial League titles? Obviously, Centennial League's always tough. Manhattan seems to always be good. Washburn Rural, of course. But a player like Lassiter, number one singles, feels like he gives them a chance.
Yeah, I think that Coach Pomeroy would be happy if they're just in the hunt. I mean, just in the hunt, because you said it exactly. I mean, Washburn Rural won it last year and has won it many, many times. Manhattan's always very good. And I think Dwayne, if his Trojans are up there in the picture, I think he would be satisfied. And with tennis, Dan, you always want to see, you just want to put yourself in a position to take a bunch of multiple entries to state. And I think that's probably what he's looking at.
Our guest is Rick Peterson of TopSports.news for the local sports spotlight. Shifting to the diamond, and it's always tricky. Spring sports can be tricky because the weather could play with your game dates and your schedule. And I think I was reading where it had been almost like 2 weeks, and Washburn Rural's softball team had hardly played over a 2-week stretch of the spring, which it's just the unfortunate reality of what weather can do here in the great state of Kansas. But switching to those diamond sports, we'll start on with baseball. Of course, you have the traditional powers in the areas. Shawnee Heights has an excellent roster. Seaman's always good. Hayden's coming off a state title. Are those teams that were expected to be front runners real contenders this year? Are we seeing signs that that those teams are going to be exactly what was anticipated?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I don't know if they might have played the last day or two, but I saw Hayden just recently, and they were undefeated. They were 8-0 at that time. We got some tournaments coming up this week, which will be challenging for everybody. But Hayden's very good, and you mentioned the others. Seaman is always good. I've seen Washburn Rural. I like their team. Shawnee Heights is always good. New coach this year. But also you got an Oklahoma State signee and Deacon Pomeroy that he's gonna lead that team. So Barry, I think we'll know more. I talked about the KU relays. We'll know more about our baseball teams too after some of these tournaments coming up this week.
I did mention Washburn Rural softball. Your Todd Fertig for TopSports.news had a chance to see them play against Hayden earlier this week and take a doubleheader sweep. And, of course, that Washburn Rural softball program's had big-time players come through there recently. Emerson Cope, Casey Hamilton, big-time Division I caliber players. Olivia Bruno's another one that have come through that program recently. And right now they're a program that is continuing to find that level of success, even if the names aren't as immediately recognizable off top as some of the ones they've had lately.
Yeah, and they've got some good younger kids too, and you know how that goes. Two things in softball: you want to have a young team that can kind of keep building and get you to the level you want to, and you got to have pitching. I mean, I think pitching in softball is as important as anything. So you want to develop pitchers, particularly young pitchers, and then ride them as far as you can ride them.
We're chatting with Rick Peterson from TopSports.news. He joins us every Thursday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for our local sports spotlight here on 580 Sports Talk. Go check all of Pistol's great work out at TopSports.news. On the Washburn front, Pistol, let's stay with the diamond sports here. I know you had a piece up the other day about the Ichabods trying to put together a late season run in baseball. They've won 4 of the last 6, did have a heartbreaker 10-inning loss earlier this week against Fort Hays. Washburn had not lost a game to Fort Hays State in 3 years and has lost 3 this season. Go figure. What is that team going to have to do to put together that run they're hoping for here in the last couple weeks of the season?
Well, I talked to both Jet Buck and Harley Douglas, the coach, yesterday, and it's just consistency. They'll beat somebody like number 2 ranked Central Missouri, and then they'll lose some games or let some leads get away in some games that they feel like they should win. So they just really want to try to put together a consistent stretch down this home stretch and see what they can do. Kind of the same way with softball. They've had some really, really big wins and then some wins that have been really frustrating. Or some losses that have been really frustrating. So they're the same boat, just trying to get something going over this last month. And in college sports, we're down to the nitty gritty. I mean, we're down to what you need to put up or shut up right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, a great example of that, look at the softball diamond here. The softball team's only got 2 more series left this season. They got a doubleheader tomorrow against UCO, then next Saturday against Emporia State. All those games, thankfully, at home. But, that's a 29-8 team, very good team for Brenda Holiday this year, but not a whole lot of time left to make a big impression.
Right. Like I said about high school, looking for the big tournaments. You're looking, state in high school, and then in college, you want to make it to the NCAA. So you got to put yourself in a position to be picked.
Wanted to get to Washburn football here really quickly. Know you made it over to at least see part of the Washburn spring game on Friday night. Beautiful night for football over at Yager Stadium. We were down in the field. You and I were getting to chop it up a little bit with our guy Trenton Kraxner as well. What'd you see from some of the spring activities there for Washburn on Friday night?
Well, I was impressed with the transfer quarterback, and you'll have to help me with the name, Brendan. But I liked him. I liked his quickness. I liked the way he seemed to take command in the second half when I was watching him. And great to see number 8 out there. Great to see Kai Thomas, who I've covered throughout his high school career, know the family. Just great to see him out there, and I think he's going to have a really big final year of his college career. And then there's some, I think, though, with a defensive coach as the head coach and a Hall of Famer on the offensive side, I think you're going to see a lot of changes, and I think I think it's going to be exciting this fall.
No, I'm right there with you. I thought the defense is playing fast. It was great to see Kai. He got the first touch of the day. I thought that was really cool. Got a nice cheer. And Justin Lewis, the D1 transfer from Merrimack, he looks like he's going to be pretty special. Last Washburn question I did have for you, though, Pistol. There will be a change in the quarterback room this year. Sam Van Dyne goes into the portal. Started the majority of the last 2 years. Obviously dealt with the leg injury through the first quarter of this past season, first third of this past season. I can't say personally I'm super surprised, but I think Sam's going to find a pretty good landing spot. Were you surprised at all that he entered the transfer portal?
Yeah, a little bit with the timing, but I agree with you. I think he'll find a good landing spot, and super nice young man, great passer. I think he'll be fine. And one more thing I want to throw in so you guys are ready. As sometime tonight, Topeka High will have a brand new boys basketball coach, and I'll have that out there as soon as it's official. But things are happening.
All righty. We will be looking for TopSports.news on that scoop and all of the rest of the info you need to know about Shawnee County High School sports and the Washburn Ichabods from Rick Peterson at TopSports.news. He joins us every week for the local sports spotlight. Pistol, it's always a pleasure. We'll talk next week.
Look forward to it.
That is Rick Peterson. We'll take a break, come back, and we will wrap up this hour. 580 Sports Talk next. 1 hour in the books. We got one more to go here on this shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk. We'll break away for Royals baseball at 5. Come back with us in the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to talk some NFL draft. Brett Veach spoke to the media earlier today. We'll parse out what he had to say and give you our NFL draft sure things. Spoiler alert, we already talked about one of them earlier. Plus, another round of What Is Wrong With You and a dip into some 580 Sports Talk headlines. KU adds another player in the transfer portal, and Lee Corso is going to hang up the headgear at the start of the 2025 college football season. All that and a whole lot more, plus your text, 785-272-9429, and your comments in the YouTube stream on 580 Sports Talk, the YouTube channel. Coming up next hour. Let's get it. Hour number 2, today's final hour of 580 Sports Talk. Welcome in. Thanks for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream. The name of the YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. The name of the Facebook page you can watch the live stream is WIBW News. Dan Lucero and Brendan Rosinski rocking with you for one more hour today before we hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network. First of 4 in the Motor City tonight as the Royals take on the first place Tigers. Reese Olson and Michael Lorenzen is your pitching matchup tonight. 5:40 scheduled first pitch at Comerica Park. So we'll be off the air 1 hour early today. That will also be the case tomorrow. We had shortened shows all week. Wish the Royals played on East Coast time all the time. Make our jobs a little easier.
I don't know what was going through my mind. This was a couple summers ago. I must have been like real depressed or something. But I was trying to figure out where would we, like what baseball team would you have to cover where you would get the most disproportionate amount of East Coast games as a central time zone team? I think
the Twins? No.
No, because they'd end up with the same number as the Royals would.
Yeah, you would.
I think it might be one of the NL Central teams, either the Brewers, the Cubs, or the Cardinals, because they have 2 teams in the division that are both on Eastern time, plus any NL East games.
So, yeah, looking at this here, the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Cardinals are all Central Time Zone. So there are 3 NL Central teams that are Central Time. There are 3 AL Central teams that are Central Time. The Twins, the White Sox, and the Royals. So yeah, one of those 6 teams you would have because you would have divisional games in the East. But
wow, I completely forgot the Guardians existed for about 90 seconds there. I was like, who the hell is the other team in the Eastern time zone? Oh yeah, Cleveland.
Yeah, so but so trying to do the math on this. So Pacific time there are 6 teams, 4 in the National League and 2 in the American League. Mountain time there are 2 National League teams. So 6 National League, 2 American League teams out west. In the Central Time Zone, you have 2 American League teams in addition to the Central teams, because you have the Rangers and the Astros are both Central Time, and they play they play in the West. So it looks like then, by simple math, you would say there are more American League teams in the Eastern Time Zone than there are National League teams. So the answer is one of the 3 AL Central teams.
Although I suppose I didn't think about it this way. I suppose if I was trying to get out of work as early as possible, as many times as possible, you'd actually want to cover an AL West team in California. Because then you have 2 teams in your own division that are 2 time zones ahead, plus any games against the teams from the East Coast.
Right.
So so that's the way to do it. If you want to get out of work as a sports talk drive time host early as many times as possible, you should work covering the Angels, the A's, or I guess the Mariners.
Oh yeah. What am I thinking? It's 3 national, 3 American in the Pacific Time Zone. I don't know why I put the Angels in the National League. I don't know what I was thinking.
Forgettable at this point.
They are. So it's so I guess it's an even balance of Eastern Time Zone teams in the American and National League. It's an even balance. You have in the National League, you have the Reds, the Nationals, the Pirates, the Mariners, the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets.
Baseball's never been the same since they moved to the Astros.
See, I can still remember when the Brewers were an American League team. They still feel unnatural to me as a National League team.
That one, when did they move?
Oh gosh, that would have been 94.
90. Okay.
Yeah, or was it 93? It was 93 or 94 when they moved. With the they called it the radical realignment. I believe.
Let's get real radical.
Yeah, it was the 90s, man.
98.
It was 98. Okay.
Okay, so I was alive, but unconscious, just like Gerald Ford. Okay, so I was like 3.5 years old.
Was 1998. Okay.
I don't remember.
I mean, Milwaukee was always it was a National League city when they had the Braves, and so there was at least some National League history there. But the Brewers, I still, never mind. The Astros feel more natural in the American League to me than the Brewers do in the National League, and I think some of that is because the Astros have done all their winning as an American League team, and the Brewers have been to one World Series, and they played the Cardinals in 1982.
I frankly still think that the Astros uniforms are alternates. Like, I'm still waiting for a return to the MCI branded star uniforms that they wore in the 2000s.
I like the 90s, like the open star that they had, the Biggio Bagwell era. Yeah, like that was, again, my thesis. Everybody's best uniform is the uniform they wore when you were 10 years old.
I like that uniform for the Astros because it's what they wore when Kerry Wood struck them out 20 times.
That's well done.
I don't know that I've seen any Astros highlight prior to 2003 except for that game, which I have watched in its entirety multiple times. Again, I was a little older than 3.5 years old, but it's like where I come from, it's like arguing that Michael Jordan's the best basketball player ever. I can't have a different opinion.
No,
it's not even a matter of opinion. Like, you're born there at that time. Michael Jordan's the best basketball player of all time. Well, LeBron did all this and he did it for 80 years and whatever. Okay, but Michael, that's it. It's just over.
Yeah.
Kerry Wood struck out 20 Astros in one game. Probably should have had a no-hitter. What are we doing at third base? And that should have been an error, not a base hit, whatever. It's the best game ever pitched. It is what it is.
When I was coaching rec league baseball in Colby, Kansas in the summer of 2021, one of my kids had a Kerry Wood model glove.
Awesome.
And I asked him if he knew who that was, and he said no. This was not a particularly baseball savvy group of kids. When I tried to break the ice with them at our first practice and asked them who their favorite baseball player was, and half of them couldn't give me one.
Oh.
So this is not like the baseball savviest crowd. But this kid had a Kerry Wood glove, and I was asking, do you know who that is? And I said, he pitched about the greatest game I've ever seen. He struck out 20 guys in a game against the Astros in 1998, and I ended practice by making everybody watch the highlights on my iPhone. I just lined the kids up, and I said, you want to see somebody do something awesome with the baseball? And they were all impressed. Like, make no mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That left an impression on a bunch of, like, not real, like, exceptional baseball fans who are 11 and 12. And it's like the hardest group of people to impress in the world, preteen boys. They were all impressed.
2 quick notes here. One, if you haven't seen, I mean, I think every baseball fan has at this point, but like the ball moves out of Carey's hand in that game in ways that seem unnatural.
Yes.
Like, how did that happen? It's incredible. He was like 20 years old. It was his 5th career start. The post-game interview is my favorite part of the whole broadcast because he's like in static shock. He's just staring into the camera, shaking. Within a year, he would be arrested for public urination in Arizona. That's not my second point. My other point was, if it makes you sad that Dan just told you a bunch of children didn't even have a favorite baseball player, let alone knew anything about the history of baseball, I'm going to tell you this right now. Bobby Witt Jr. is the most important individual athlete in the Midwest. Because if you want that to ever change, you need young superstars.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, when I went home the summer after Chris Bryant came up and Anthony Rizzo had been there with the Cubs, I could not, and I mean, Chicago is a great baseball city, and Chicago and Colby, obviously very different. I could not go anywhere, literally anywhere for a whole summer without seeing a Bryant or a Rizzo shirt or jersey or something. Like, Cubs have always been popular, but it exploded with a younger group when those guys came up. I bet kids in Colby or Dodge or wherever within this footprint are going to be wearing Witt stuff because he's cool and fun and apparently the only guy on the team who can hit. So the most important player for many reasons for the Royals is Bobby Witt Jr., let me tell you.
Baseball has always struggled to promote their stars, and some of that problem has been that sometimes their stars have not been have been a little bit resistant to that kind of promotion. Like, you can't promote Mike Trout. He's the most boring man alive. He likes the weather and the Eagles. Like, and
Super Pretzel.
Yeah, and Super Pretzel. Like that's how he gets down.
You swear he me.
You could not promote him. But
no.
You are in an era right now where there are some really exciting young players who do a lot of like exciting baseball stuff. Like Ellie De La Cruz hits from both sides of the plate, hits the ball real far, throws it real fast, runs real fast. That's a guy that could be a household name. Aaron Judge is bigger than life and hits more home runs than anyone else and does it for the most famous pro sports franchise there is. Like, that's pretty good to have right now. But Bobby Witt Jr. certainly is one of those guys, because the flip side of it is you have Paul Skeens, who has a very famous girlfriend, and if he would just do some TikToks with his girlfriend, I'm sure Rob Manfred would be thrilled. But no, Paul Skeens is a nerd who just wanted to fly planes and cried when they told him, dude, leave the Air Force. You're too good at baseball to sit in a cockpit. Please leave the Air Force.
He has like no personality at all. It's unbelievable.
0 personality. He's a huge nerd who throws 102 miles an hour.
I'm going to tread lightly here, and I apologize in advance because I really don't mean to sound sexist here. I'm not really sure what Livy Dunn's personality is either, other than
attractive,
a like hot gymnast. Which, hey, look, if you're going to get rich off of it, hell yeah, good for you. I wish I was good looking enough to be rich off of it, or good looking at all. Like, yeah, I wish I had any of that.
It would be nice to monetize just the way I look when I get out of bed in the morning. It'd be cool to monetize that.
But that's why you've made the comment, I've made the comment, like baseball trying to make them into MLB's version of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift is so funny.
It's so funny.
Travis and Taylor are like extremely personable. And even if you hate her for whatever dumb reason, like she clearly has personality and like, I don't know, the kids say aura these days. Like, and Travis clearly does too. Paul Skeens is boring and Livy Dunn is also like kind of boring.
Yeah, I'm not sure what her thing is going to be. Like, is she going to get a reality show? Like, how's she going to stay in the public life?
Definitely. Oh, yeah, that's coming. I'm going to guess on E. She doesn't seem like the Bravo type. I'm going to guess E.
Yeah, you're probably right on that. We have gotten way down a path we did not intend to go down this hour of 580 Sports Talk. God, we still owe you a choose your trip keyword this hour. Holy cow. We're 18 past the hour. We owe you a keyword.
Wow, are we really?
Yeah.
God.
580WIBW.com. Go to the link that says listen to win a trip to anywhere in the U.S. and enter this keyword this hour. The keyword is grab. 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 As in, who will the Chiefs grab with the 31st pick in the NFL draft next week? Grab is the keyword this hour. Enter the keyword, get yourself registered to win a trip anywhere you want to go in the United States. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up in a little bit. We're going to do some headlines, but I did want to talk NFL draft this hour. Brett Veach held his press conference earlier today, his pre-draft press conference, 1 week out of the draft. The draft is next week, the first round of the draft from Green Bay, Wisconsin, next Thursday. And we had talked previously, it was Matt Miller of ESPN who had revealed who he believes are true first-round players or players with first-round grades. I think he had 15. Brett Veach thinks it's an even smaller number. He said he's got maybe 12 or 13 first-round grades on his board. This is what he said, quote, "It's probably a tick down. I think typically in years past, that number's been anywhere from 15 to 18, even 19. I think the last time that I checked on it, it was down to like 12 or 13. So it is lower. Although I will say this, in that secondary wave of guys that are in the late round, high two consideration, that number's probably a little higher. So hopefully that provides a little bit more flexibility on both ends. So I think that top end number is just a tick down from years past. I think we have a pretty consistent game plan year in, year out. And if one of those guys, however unlikely it is, that we have in that 12 or 13 or 14 number range, if they were to fall to a reasonable landing spot, I'm sure we'd make some calls." And a quote from Brett Veach. So he sees the draft about the way that the pundits do, and that suggests to me that it is more likely for the Chiefs to move one way or another out of pick 31. I'm now of the mind, because we know they'll be aggressive even if it's just a small move like last year for Xavier Worthy. I am more convinced that they will either trade up or trade down, because sitting at 31 when you can still get a guy you want at like 38 and add a day 3 pick in a year where you're really light on day 3 picks, that really makes a lot of sense for the Chiefs to do. But if they have a round 1 grade on somebody, could they move to 25, 26 and go get that player with that extra 3rd round pick they have from the Titans sitting in their back pocket? I think that is certainly a possibility as well. So I'm starting to lean in that direction, that might be whoever the Chiefs end up taking. Like, could Walter Nolan still be in play at 37, 36? I think so.
Theoretically.
So I think that I think Brett Veach can be active on day 1. I get that feeling from his press conference today.
I feel like that has to be the case. I wish I remembered the year. Do you know how many teams have multiple first-round picks this year?
Multiple firsts? I don't know that anybody. Does anybody?
None. For the first time in well over a decade, and it might be over multiple. This is the latest up until the draft that no first-round picks have been traded. Teams have known for a while this was going to be a weak draft this year. It's amazing, and I wish I knew the last time it happened this late. It's been well over 10 years, if I remember correctly. I would not be surprised if there's a lot of movement, because given the positions that have depth, given the positions that have top-end talent, and given that you've got good teams with few picks, like the Chiefs do not have a ton of picks and a ton of super valuable ones. They've got, 8 overall, but 3 are in the 7th round. The Vikings don't have a ton of picks this year. The Bears are a bad team, but they have a new head coach. They're a desirable location because of that coach, and they don't have many picks either. They pick high. I would not be surprised if they explored a trade back, even though they have needs for elite talent. I think we're going to see a lot more activity on draft day. Like, I wouldn't be completely shocked if on day 2 we had a run on running backs and teams moved up like, okay, Travion Henderson goes at 35. Okay, we got to go get Judkins. Like, we got to move up and get Quinshon Judkins. We got to get up and get Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. And boom, all of a sudden you had 3 running backs go and 6 picks in the top 40. Like, I would not be surprised about that. I would not be surprised if there's a late first, early to mid second round run on defensive linemen. Like, Nolan and Harmon and Kenneth Grant and all these other guys just all go within like 8 picks of one another. I think we're in line to see a lot of that. And I think that means there's going to be a lot of trading on day one. The Chiefs are in kind of an advantageous spot. You're not going to get the elite of the elite talent-wise at 31, but you are going to get, and Matt Verderame told us this on Monday, and I think he's spot on with it, you are going to get teams like Cleveland. Cleveland is going to pick, 34th, I believe. They need talent, and they need it cheap, and they need it long-term, right? Because the Watson contract is such a disaster. They, I imagine, would be a team that says, hey, what if we gave up a third-round pick, and we moved up 4 spots to get the 5th-year option and to get an extra year of team control?
That 5th-year option is so valuable for teams like that who, like you say, they need a lot of cheap talent because in Cleveland's case, they're hamstrung by the Deshaun Watson contract.
Yep. So I think the Chiefs are in a valuable spot where they can either move up because Walter Nolan or Derek Harmon or whoever is there and they have a chance to go get him and they have that third, as you mentioned. They can sit tight if the ball, hey, someone traded up to go get Tyler Shuck. Someone jumped the line to get Jackson Dart. Great. Awesome. Phenomenal. We're going to get one of the players we want who falls to us, or let's add a late day 2, early day 3 pick, move back 4 spots and get a player of equal value. So I just think the Chiefs, as this process has gone on, are in a more favorable spot than we previously believed.
I wanted to get to this question. Who is your sure thing in the 2025 NFL draft? Who is the one player that you are absolutely certain is going to be not just a regular, not just a starter, but somebody who is a star, like a perennial All-Pro or perennial Pro Bowl type of player in this draft? If you were standing on the table for one guy to be that. I'll go first because we both talked about him earlier in the show. I don't care where you put Travis Hunter, you're getting the best player in the draft.
Yes, correct.
I understand there's a lot of noise around him that comes with his association with Coach Prime. Like, I get it. Did you watch him play football? Because there was nobody better at football than him last year. You watch him go up and track a football, both as a wide receiver and as a defensive back. The ball skill is outrageous. The speed, the change of direction, the open field ability is outrageous. If a team takes him and says, I want you to be our number 1 wide receiver, I think he is an all-pro wide receiver. I think he's an all-pro corner. If a team drafted him and said, we're going to stick him at corner, we're going to leave him there. Now, I know he did an interview a couple days ago, said if a team doesn't let me play both ways, I'll just retire. I want to play both ways. Certainly whatever team drafts him would be foolish not to explore those possibilities. But I think Travis Hunter is the best football player in this draft. And I think he's one of the best football players I've ever seen. And no matter who drafts him or what they do with him or how they do it, they are getting a transcendent football talent.
I agree with everything. I think Travis Hunter is going to be a star. I heard this take from Mina Kimes of ESPN, and I actually agree with it. I'm curious your thoughts. She posited that wherever Hunter ends up playing primarily, because I think everyone expects that even though he's going to play both ways, he's going to be predominantly a wide receiver with some corner stuff, or I think more likely, or at least more easily, a full-time corner who's going to have offensive packages. Do you think that what he does right away is going to set his career? Like, I don't believe that he can start being a corner and then after 6 years, hey, I'm going to be a full-time receiver right now. And I actually agree with that take. Like, I think however you set him up right away is probably going to be how he is set up for his career.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Because you need the practice reps. You need to be able to develop. And I think that you would lose that if you got yanked around, if they yanked him around. No matter, even as talented as he is, I think it would be better for him to stay on one track.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. So I put down a couple guys here because I didn't go with Hunter because I felt like, yeah, that was the easy one. Like, look at this dude. Watch him play. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, just watch the games. Like, tune out the noise and watch the games. This is one of the best football players at this age coming into a draft that we've ever seen.
The one that I went with is Will Campbell, who played tackle at LSU. There's a lot of talk about moving him to guard because he's got short arms. I have two thoughts about this. One, he didn't have arms that were too short to play left tackle starting every single game for 3 years in the SEC.
Right.
So now he's going to have arms that are too short to play tackle against edge rushers in the NFL, all of whom went to SEC schools. I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that logic. The combine measurements were all goofed up this year anyway. And okay, fine. You want to move him to guard? I think he's the best offensive lineman in this class. I would argue that even including Travis Hunter, he might be one of the 3 best offensive players in the entire draft, next to Hunter and Ashton Genty. And if you take Hunter out, okay, top 2 offensive player in the entire NFL draft. Yes, I'd put him ahead of Cam Ward, the quarterback. I think Will Campbell's a star. There's nothing on film. There is nothing like testing wise to make you believe he can't be an elite day one offensive lineman, except maybe his arms are a half an inch too short. And again, okay, then put him at guard and have him be an all-pro guard for 12 years. Have him be Marshall Yanda. Like that, to me, it's a no-brainer. He should go off the board in the top 10 without question. Honestly, I think New England should take him number 4 overall if one of either Carter or Hunter doesn't fall. And I don't think they will.
Sounds like there's a lot trending in that direction. That he's like, his stock maybe took an initial hit when the reports about his arm size came out, and then there's enough people out there who are on the, again, watch the film.
Draft good at some time. Like, I think sometimes people who cover college football who do we'll just draft good players thing. Like, there are certain skills that are more translatable than others, but Will Campbell does everything you want from an NFL offensive lineman. Literally everything. Just take that guy. Don't mess around and say, yeah, well, we kind of liked Membu from Missouri because he doesn't have this skill, but his arms are bigger. Just take Will Campbell. Just take the better player and just be done with it. The same conversation is going to come up with Genty, by the way. Mm-hmm. Well, he's the best player, but he's a running back. So you're just going to take a worse football player. Okay. Like, if that's what you're going to do, fine. Uh-huh. But you're admitting you're just taking a worse player because right. I think Genty is as good as almost anybody in this class. He's that good. I'd like to shout out another Will, by the way, Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan.
Yeah, I think he's really good.
I was joking earlier, he's not running the 40 because his hamstring has been bad, like since the season was going on. And he doesn't want to run a really slow time and hurt his draft stock. And I get that. Again, man, just watch him play. Go watch a Michigan game. You can find clips of it on Twitter or Instagram or you're anywhere. Google it. Like, the dude's an amazing football player. I can't believe he might fall out of the top 15. I genuinely cannot believe that. So I'll plant my flag on that one as well.
We had a text from the 785 addressing something that we were talking about earlier on the show. Are your either or over under? Would you rather have Travis Hunter or 2 first-round picks? Text from the 913 says, no way Travis Hunter's worth 2 first-rounders, especially in the top 25. Maybe that's true in some drafts. But in this particular draft, where you've only got 12 or 13 guys that are true first-round talents, I think Travis Hunter is a better – I would rather come away from the draft with Hunter than with one of those first-round guys and then somebody else who might just be like a second-round kind of talent.
I'm looking right now at Dane Brugler's top 100. And Dane Brugler's the best. Him and Daniel Jeremiah, the best at draft stuff. And, like, I'm taking – one big scroll on the wheel on the mouse down the page. Players 9 through 12. Shamar Stewart, Mike Green, Colston Loveland, Tet McMillan. You've got a guy who had 4.5 career sacks in college, who his whole knock is he's really athletic and he cannot tackle. Mike Green, who I actually think is pretty good, but has some like major off the field questions. Go figure out why he left Virginia. Colston Loveland, who's a tight end who can't block. I like Loveland, but he's a tight end who can't block. And Tet McMillan, who might not like football, who admitted as much. Like, I don't really watch film if I'm not being forced to, and it's, like, not my thing. And who might be like N'Keal Harry. I like him better than that nowadays, but I also love N'Keal Harry.
You did love N'Keal Harry.
Like, that's player 9 through 12. Like, I would take Hunter over 2 picks, including those guys. Yes, absolutely. Like Mike Green and Colson Loveland, like maybe I'd rather have Hunter than those guys.
Question from the 785 on the text line. If you were playing Hunter both ways, would you be willing to take the chance in losing two positions at once should he get hurt? Yes, because I get two positions at once when he's healthy.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to it's not possible for him to have the snap load that he did.
No,
it's just not in the NFL. It's not. So I don't think the team drafting him is expecting that they're going to get essentially a full snap load both ways,
right?
Which is what he did in college. Maybe he can, because we kept saying he couldn't do it in college, and he did it in college, and his quality of play, like, it never wavered. Like, the only reason he missed time is he took a cheap shot from that kid from Colorado State as a junior or as a sophomore, and he lacerated his kidney or his spleen or whatever it was.
It wasn't even just
it was the only injury he suffered. It was a freak deal. So yeah, he might just be that kind of different. Like, I'm willing to entertain that, but even if he's not, I will take the high end ability he is going to give me on whatever side of the ball I put him on the most often.
We're already so late past the clock that I'm going to ask you this question. Who do you think is the second best player in the draft?
The second best player in the draft? I'd probably say Abdul Carter.
I think Carter's really good. I really think it might be Ashton Genty. He's so good, man. And you can't even do he didn't play any one thing. He had a pretty good game against Penn State with a far below standard offensive line, and he was incredible when they played Oregon.
Yeah.
And he's also like barely 21, I think.
I love the thought of a running back going to the top 10. Bring the feeling back.
I think he will.
Running backs being valuable. Make running backs valuable again.
I think the latest he possibly goes is Chicago at 10.
That's fascinating. We're going to take a break. We got What Is Wrong With You coming next on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you is brought to you by our guy Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services, Inc. Give him a call, 785-273-1572. Our ongoing weekly champ, our Monday winner, Get a Room, the woman who booked a bunch of reservations that were never intended to be followed through on at a Comfort Suites in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, costing herself some money, but also costing the hotel thousands of dollars due to the no-show fees. She was warned not to do it, kept doing it. She was arrested and arraigned and told that she couldn't do it as a condition of her bail and kept on making these false reservations. That is our current weekly champ. Brendan, you've got a story today. You go first.
All right. So my story today. Oh, this is great. We're going to Florida. So a Florida man was arrested this past week for allegedly shooting himself outside of his job last year, which in and of itself bad. You're going to love the reason, though. So WESH-TV reported that Cocoa police officers found 30-year-old Alexander Lafort with a gunshot wound to the abdomen at a FedEx warehouse last March. Lafort, who was discovered lying on a couch at the facility, reportedly claimed he was near his car when an unknown man wearing a balaclava and hoodie shot him. According to investigators, Lafort parked his car at the farthest spot in a Northwest parking lot, and as a result, his vehicle was nearly out of view of surveillance cameras. Lafort allegedly provided officers with inconsistent info about the shooting. While at the hospital, he reportedly told police the gunman tried to take his wallet when he moved forward and hit the top of the gun. Police were investigating the shooting when they learned of a previous instance in which Lafort was accused of harassing and stalking a coworker.
Oh.
The TV station reported that Lafort left a note on the coworker's vehicle reading, quote, "I know you're sleeping with him again. He is trash. You've been warned." According to Space Coast Daily, surveillance footage only showed one person, Lafort, near the FedEx building when the shooting occurred. A search of his car yielded a 9mm handgun registered to him, as well as a first aid kit.
Oh.
The police also said a shell casing recovered from the crime scene came from Lafort's gun. Police concluded Lafort shot himself in the abdomen to garner sympathy from his coworker who had cut off contact after accusing him of harassment.
That's hilarious. Why? That's such a long way to garner sympathy. That's further than I would go.
Have you considered being nice to her?
Yeah, I don't know, like not threatening, not creepy, leaving notes on their car.
He was arrested last Wednesday on charges of giving false information during an investigation, tampering with evidence, and firing a firearm in public.
That's hysterical. What a doofus.
You cut me off, I'll show you. Blow!
So my story today contains the phrase, cocaine became so irate.
Oh.
That doesn't sound like it's grammatically correct, right? Cocaine is a drug. It's an inanimate object. How can cocaine become irate? Folks, let me introduce you to 45-year-old Edward Cocaine of Brevard County, Florida.
Oh, no.
Edward Cocaine was arrested after he pushed workers at a Subway before pulling out a knife. And by Subway, I don't mean underground transportation. I mean where you can eat fresh. Deputies said on April 5th, the man later identified as Cocaine went into the restaurant located at 390 St. Charles Avenue in Merritt Island with another man. Cocaine got in an argument with employees over what he believed were their bad attitudes. According to the sheriff's office, Cocaine became so irate with the employees that yelling at them from across the counter wasn't enough. Cocaine then went behind the counter and pushed one of the employees before pulling out a knife. Cocaine then raised the knife over his head, drawing it back in a manner suggestive of a potential strike.
This sounds like an anti-drug poem.
The man with Cocaine tried to restrain him before both men left the restaurant. Deputies were able to track down Cocaine, and he was arrested on Wednesday. He faces charges of aggravated assault, burglary with assault, or battery and battery. That's very poorly written by the author at clickorlando.com, according to the sheriff's office. Anyway, a lot of charges for a guy, Edward Cocaine. I think Edward is funnier than Ed or Eddie would be. Like Ed Cocaine, Eddie Cocaine. No, it has to be the full
I agree.
The birth name. Edward Cocaine is much funnier than the alternative.
No, please. Eddie is my dad. I'd like to go by Edward Cocaine.
Mr. Cocaine is my father. They go through life with the last name Cocaine.
Yeah, that's wild.
And look, we are. It is spelled like it sounds. It is spelled like the narcotic. It is not like Kokane. No, this is Edward Cocaine. Some stories are made great because of the name. We had Matthew Pancake last year go all the way to the finals in our What Is Wrong With You Tournament of Champions. So now we have Edward Cocaine.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Who you got today? This is a good one. Good week.
God, it's so hard to pick. I thought Edward Cocaine was going to be really, really tough to take down.
This guy shot himself, though.
He did.
Intentionally.
He did. Now, if that guy who had shot himself was named Edward Cocaine, it'd be
a runaway winner.
It would be a runaway, yeah. I'm going to go with the guy who shot himself to gain sympathy from a woman he was harassing.
Again, have you tried just being nice to her? She might not cut you off.
Yeah,
then.
Be a normal human being, and you'll have better luck, I promise. That one wins today. Does that beat Get a Room?
No, that was just so stupid. I'm going to go with Get a Room, man. It's so dumb. I cannot get over how dumb it is.
She just kept making hotel reservations over and over again. Please stop doing that. What if I did it even more? Okay, now you've been arrested, and part of your bail says within 200 miles of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, you cannot make reservations. I'm going to make 96 more of them at the exact same hotel.
The fact that there's just no motive.
Yes. I think the fact that there is no motive makes the story better. Honest to goodness.
Yeah, I think that's the deciding factor there.
Get a Room advances on What Is Wrong With You, brought to you by our buddy Mo, Ryan Mowinkle. Go to his website, ryanmowinkle.com. We're back after this with a brief burst of headlines on 580 Sports Talk. So we have a story from 2014 when a then 34-year-old Edward Cocaine was arrested and charged with drug possession. He explained to the judge at the time that his great-grandparents came from Greece in the 1920s, and that was the last name that they chose. That was the last name that they chose. For the record, the drug of choice for Mr. Cocaine back in 2014 was Xanax.
Oh.
Yeah. Little swerve. Let's get to some real fast 580 Sports Talk headlines. We're going to sprint through these. First one for 24/7 Sports. St. Bonaventure transfer Melvin Council Jr. commits to Kansas. Where are the Jayhawks getting with Mr. Council?
He plays a lot of defense. He can get to the hoop, scores well. Once he gets to the rim, he's long. There's a little Garrett to his game. The comparison I've seen from CJ Moore, also from, Bill Self. Tyshawn Taylor.
Right.
Nice piece to have on this team. I like that. Not a great shooter. Good catch and shoot guy, not a spot up guy. Good piece. Yeah. Like him at the 2.
I think it's a good role-playing addition. Good addition for fit.
Good transition guy. That's his other strength, is get the ball out and running. That's something he's really good at. KU not good in transition this past year.
Yeah, they really haven't been the last couple of years. Not a good transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you get easy baskets. And, they really struggled in transition. If Council can be a finisher there, that's going to help them a lot. Next headline from ESPN PR.
Legendary ESPN broadcaster Lee Corso will do his final College Game Day, week 1 of this coming season, August 30th. He is retiring. 38 years with ESPN doing Game Day. I mean, it's sad. I know he slowed down after the stroke. I get it's not the same, but I still make sure to get to the TV 20 minutes before the 11 a.m. kickoff to see Lee Corso and the gang make picks and to see the headgear. I really do.
Yeah, Corso and the headgear was always must-see for many, many years on College Game Day. It was just part of what made college football Saturdays exciting. Like, you saw that, you were ready for the big game. I bet they do it. I think Alabama's at Florida State week 1. I bet that's the game.
Or do they do Texas at Ohio State because the first headgear pick was Brutus?
That's true. First headgear pick was Brutus. The other amazing thing I found out in the course of looking at this story, Lee Corso was 17-0 when he put on the USC headgear, when he put on the Trojan helmet.
Really?
17-0.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm going to spend all night watching montages of Lee Corso moments.
What a career and what a life in football and in football broadcasting and College Game Day. Just, he has certainly slipped, there's no doubt, but it won't be the same without Lee Corso on College Game Day. Last one real quick. Can we get a playoff roundup in?
Yes, we absolutely can get in a playoff roundup.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
Both of the 10 seeds advanced in the NBA's play-in tournament last night. Road victories for the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference and the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference. The Heat will move on to play the Hawks, and the Mavericks will take on the Grizzlies for the right to be the number 8 seed. Those games are coming up tomorrow. Our resident Bulls fan, Brendan Dworzinski, any comments on the end of the Bulls season?
Sell the team, Jerry.
There you have it. And that was your playoff roundup. We'll come back with the final word, wrap up this short edition of 580 Sports Talk. It's time for a final word on 580 Sports Talk so we can get out early for Royals baseball. Brendan Dworzynski, final word.
Yeah, my final word is on the Royals. Just wanted to revisit a point we talked about at the beginning of the show today. The pitching has been great, and I have no reason to believe that that is going to sputter severely in the near future. But it can really take a toll on your pitching staff if your offense is never, ever able to give them run support. So please, for the sake of Reagans and Lugo and Waka and Lorenzen and Bubic, Royals offense, do something. Don't destroy their mental health this early in the season.
Final word for me today. I'm reading the tea leaves, and I'm starting to lean toward Brett Veach working the phones on day one of the NFL draft, and the Chiefs, one way or another, not picking at number 31. If they have a really small list of first-round talents, if one of them is available in the mid-20s, they're going to go up and get it. And if one of them is not available as pick number 31 approaches, they should trade back and add a little bit more day 3 draft capital. That's going to do it for us today. Royals baseball, 5 o'clock pregame and 5:40 first pitch from Detroit. So we will hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 5. For Brendan Dworzynski, I'm Dan Lucero. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.